What does Will Levis show you from Kentucky, Greg?
Yeah, Will Levis is a really interesting guy because you just look at him and you watch him throw and you say, that's what you want. And he played for 2 years with NFL coordinators, basically. Now, in 2021 under Liam Cohen, he was very rhythmic. Everything looked really efficient, and he played at a pretty high level. I believe there were 4 offensive linemen who were drafted, if I'm not mistaken. I know 3 for sure, may have been 4. And then in 2022, for whatever reason, loss of O-lineman, different coordinator, it just seemed like a struggle. And I think you have to really dig deep, as I tried to do, to see what happened in 2022, and there's no easy answer there. People can say, oh, well, he didn't play as well in 2022. That's easy to say because I think the tape tells you that. But when you look at just the player, he's a compact, twitchy, effortless thrower. He can attack all 3 levels of the defense. He's highly competitive. He's incredibly tough in the pocket. I would say one thing, though. There's a difference between running ability and pocket movement, and he's a little stiff in the pocket. So, in other words, when he has to move, a step to his right, 2 steps to his left, that he doesn't do really, really well. And he's much more of a power thrower than a touch and pace thrower. And I think you have to understand that, and you have to try to work with that, because there's a lot of throws in the NFL that require pace and touch. And if you can't make those kinds of throws, look, we live in a league, Rich, where there's a lot more throws under 10 yards, as you know, than there were 15, 20 years ago. And those throws tend to require pace and touch and not velocity.
Greg Cosell here on the Rich Eisen Show. It is now time to get to the ultimate question, Gregory. It's not time. Knowing Frank Reich as you must, and knowing tendencies and having grinded tape on the Eagles' offenses and the Colts' offenses, who do you think the Panthers traded up to go get?
I don't know that specifically, obviously. To me, as we speak here today on March 13th,
yes, sir.
And there's a long way to go, C.J. Stroud, to me, would be the guy that I would feel most comfortable taking because I think he's just really efficient in the pocket. He's 6'3". As I said, he's just a natural thrower of the football. C.J. Stroud is the guy that really stood out. Bryce Young is such a good player, but as I said, I'm just so uncertain as to the size and not the height, as we discussed. Just it's really the weight and the frame more than the height. But C.J. Stroud would be the guy that I would probably point to at this point.
Well, I mean, and what would make sense about that, and again, obviously nobody's holding you to anything either. Nobody knows.
I hope not.
Nobody knows, Greg. Nobody knows. But it would make sense in the fact that Young didn't throw at the combine, Stroud did. And this move was made directly on the heels of the combine and before the new league year. I mean, truly, we were 5 days removed from packing up at the combine, and this deal was struck.
Right.
So that does kind of dovetail in that. But then there is also the case of...
But there's the Richardson factor.
Right.
And look, like I said, I think there's meaningful concerns about Richardson. But, people are going to look at Josh Allen, okay? I'm sure we discussed Josh Allen in the past, Rich, and he came out of Wyoming. Now, he's a better thrower than Richardson, but he was definitely scattershot in college. And now people look at him and how he's progressed, and he's clearly one of the 3 or 4 best quarterbacks in the league, and his ball placement has become clearly better. And it's easy to look at that and say, oh, yeah, that'll happen with Anthony Richardson. We don't know that, but like you said, someone will believe they can clean that up, and the big playability, which is what a lot of people now, hey, this. That's what people look at. Explosives on offense, and let's prevent explosives on defense. That's what the game, in the eyes of many, has become. And Richardson does give you those kinds of traits. Whether he can become consistent throwing the football, that remains to be seen.
Are those the only 4 you've grinded tape on, or is there anybody else?
Oh, no, I watched Hendon Hooker, who I think throws the ball really, really well. He's another really easy thrower of the football. within the context of his offense, and that will be discussed as well. He played in kind of a relatively pure version of an air raid passing game with its emphasis on no huddle, fast tempo, widespread formations, what we call pure progression reads, where a quarterback's not really taught to understand much about the subtleties and nuances of defense. So that will be a discussion as well. But Hendon Hooker is a big, tall kid. He stands tall in the pocket. He throws the ball well. He's got movement ability. He's got very good traits as well.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.